Hi everyone, William here with the Grand Duke Dmitri Diary Series 1917, I should say. We're up to the 25th of October, and our recap, we did the 20th through the 24th, very short diary entries last time. Yeah, not so much going on. Dmitri was playing a lot of tennis. He was losing more money, playing baccarat, and things were still strained between himself and Lady Marling, unfortunately. And he met some interesting people. It was still a fairly small group of people that he was socializing with, but growing a little bit as time goes by. And he met a very famous and highly respected Orientalist called Vladimir, that was his name, wasn't it? Vladimir Minorsky, person that I personally am quite interested in. So, what do we have today? Well, let's go ahead and dive in. There's a lot to clarify in today's diary entry, so I've gotten some assistance from AI to fill in some of the blanks. And all right, here we go. The next day, i.e. Wednesday, 25th October, I managed to see a very interesting picture. The funeral of a very influential Bakhtiar, Sardar Asad, took place. I went to the Imperial Bank of Persia and watched from a balcony overlooking the square, which is called Tukhana Medan, which means cannon square. It has some old bronze cannons that were gifts from Nicholas I. The cortege crossed the square. I was very disappointed with the whole spectacle because it was much too European. The body in a closed casket was conveyed on a caisson. The gendarmes and Cossacks were authentic, but for the purely Persian participants, the Sardars, it was a caricature. Then there were a few generals in the most fantastic uniforms, hussars or Austrian dragoons and such like, but in general there was not much couleur locale. It was much more interesting when, after the funeral procession had passed by, Lady Marling and I drove in a car to the city gates along the Qom Road, that's spelled Qom. The body was transported to Isfahan. There were masses of troops there, Persian Cossacks dressed like Cossacks for the stage in bad blank, because the papahi were too big and the Cherkesky hung horribly. Of course, all such spectacles in Tehran always have an amazingly bright appearance from the constant sun. Okay, the next diary entry, 26 October, Thursday. I had tea at the Yevrenos and then played bridge. I dined at home and again spent the evening in quite strained and dull circumstances. Lady Marling sat with a stone face. All right, keep in mind this is before the news has reached Dmitri of the Bolshevik takeover. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, a lot that needs to be explained. So, Bakhtiar, first of all, Dmitri identifies the deceased as a very influential Bakhtiar called Sardar Asad, and that was accurate. The Bakhtiari were a major tribe in Persia, and Persia was sort of a conglomeration of tribes. I think it still is. We think of modern Iran, but I think people still have strong ties to tribes in various parts of the country. The Bakhtiari were in the south, where the oil fields were. Sardar is a title, sort of an honorific. It means commander or chief or head or, you name it. And it's not an official rank, but it's, something that shows your importance, to be sure. And Assad was also not the man's name. Assad, if I understand correctly, means lion. So it's an honorific like the great chief lion, something like that. forgive me if I offend anyone with my clumsy rendering of these things. All right, so what else? Well, Papahi and Cherkesky. I should have grabbed my Papahi before I did this. So you've all seen photographs of Cossacks, including Nicholas II's convoy, the imperial bodyguard, and they wear these hats made very often of Astrakhan wool, sort of really black and curly, although sometimes the hats can be quite wild. They can be from different kind of sheep and, you know, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not fluffy, but yeah, you know, you've seen pictures of these. And so that's what the Papahi were. They were too big, Dmitri says, so yes, that would make for a rather comical appearance. Now, the Cherkesky are these sort of military caftans with not bandoliers, but across both sides they have little pockets for little individual pockets for ammunition. And again, this is what the convoy wore. They wore Papahi and Cherkesky. So if you see pictures of Nicholas and Tsarevich with the bodyguard that always accompanied Nicholas, then you've seen them in their Papahi and Cherkesky. Dmitri says that in this instance, the Cherkesky hung horribly, so they were draped or worn in a way that didn't look right to him. So he's being a bit snobbish about that, saying that, you know, they looked like they were stage costumes. But, you know, he was a Romanov, he was a Russian Guards officer, and so he would have been very critical of these things. Okay, let's see. What do I know about Sardar Asad himself? Well, not much, but I learned quite a bit more today. So his name was Haj Ali-Qoli Khan Bakhtiari. The title was Sardar Asad. I believe Haj is also a title of sorts. I believe it's added to the name when a person has made the pilgrimage to Mecca. So he was a leading Bakhtiari Khan and a key military figure in the Persian constitutional revolution, famous for leading Bakhtiari forces that entered Tehran in July 1909 and helped depose Muhammad Ali Shah Qajar. So this happened, 9 years before Dmitri arrived, and the Russians were backing the Shah, Muhammad Ali Shah Qajar, but the Bakhtiari and other Persians wanted a constitutional monarchy, and so they succeeded, and Sardar Asad was one of the heroes of that action. They succeeded in deposing, going into Tehran, deposing the Shah, but not ending the monarchy. So the Shah, when Dmitri was there, was the son of the deposed Shah, and his name was, I believe, Ahmad Shah Qajar. Okay, so Sardar Asad was a constitutionalist. After 1909, he held high court titles, acted as a power broker in Tehran politics, and then gradually withdrew from public life. He died in 1917, as we know, with contemporary and later sources recording him as a central Bakhtiari leader whose passing marked the end of an era. Okay, so this was indeed a very influential man and an important funeral. Let's see. So he was buried in Isfahan, which lies outside of Tehran. And so they had the funeral cortege through Tehran, and then took the body further on to Isfahan. So Tehran, as I understand it, has these various gates. There's the Isfahan Gate, maybe, and although in this case they go out the Qom Gate, Qom, and it has squares. So Medan, I believe, means square. So Dmitri had gone to the Imperial Bank of Persia, whether he was still working on getting money or whether it was because he simply wanted to watch this event from the balcony and was invited to, I don't know. But the Imperial Bank of Persia was sort of in the main square in Tehran for military and governmental things. The Tukana Maidan at Cannon Square, it has these cannon, and Dmitri notes that some of them were gifts from Nicholas I, and Nicholas I reigned between 1825 and 1855, and I'm not sure what Russian-Persian relations were like then, but you had the Great Game, of course, where Britain and Britain and Russia were rivals in Persia. And so, at some point these cannon were given, they must have been very big. They were installed there in Cannon Square, which took its name from them, apparently. I should have tried to find some pictures of those to see how big they were. Okay, other than that, there's the same thing. He has tea with his friends, the Evrenos, and at home things are strained. Lady Marling is sitting there, he says, with a stone face, or with a stony face, so it doesn't sound too pleasant. Anyway, what do we have next? Well, to end this period of short diary entries, we have another longish one, like today, describing another interesting event, a gazelle hunt. Dmitri loved his Coleur locale, his local color. He's always disappointed when there's a European component to things and it's not purely Persian. And I'll stop there since I'm rambling, and hopefully see you for the gazelle hunt. All right, bye.